So welcome to our Physics Matter Colloquium number 41. So this live event is organized by the Forum of International Physics, the FIP, which is a voluntary association of APS members who are interested in advertising the knowledge of physics and its diffusion. So hence this live open access scientific expedition is fostering cooperation and transcend the frontier of knowledge for and by developing community. So you can visit our webpage, so where our precious recording and material are freely accessible for everyone, so worldwide. So you will find all the presentation and the article that are summarizing the impact of Physics Matter Colloquia series. So the sustainable development and the complexity has been a topic for already several editions. So you can you have certain limits. So our guest today in January. So sustainable development is also, so what we will reiterate today with also the support of the IUPAP, where we had also several events. So the International Union for Pure and Applied Physics, which was last December. So all of those presentations last December by Professor George Ellis so looked at the aspect of this complexity. But personally, so I met, this is at that time in December that I met, so Professor Amal Kasry. So that was an honor to see during this UNESCO and IUPAP and CERN final years as well, final heaven for the years of basic science and sustainable development at CERN, the Science Gateway. So this is where we had a really nice view of this program that we build up now, and this international decade that you will hear more about. So today, it's a really honor to have you as well with us. So together with us, so we have in our panel list, so Joe Nomiala, who is like me, also past chair, former chair of this FIP, Forum of International Physics. So Joe is working at the ICTP, so in Trieste, and I'm working at the European Spallation Source, so in Sweden. So we are now we will introduce. I will shortly introduce so Professor Amal Kasry, who is currently so the chief session for the basic science, research, innovation, and engineering. So she's part of this division for science policy and basic science, natural science sector at the UNESCO. And her major role is to design, to implement, and to monitor and evaluate the basic and engineering science program in order to ensure the delivery of this expected result approved by the UNESCO governing bodies in the field of basic and engineering science, capacity development for research, education, and innovation. And prior to joining, so the UNESCO, so Professor Kasry has been an academic scientist with a wide range of international experience, so in material science and nanobiotechnology. So she received her fellowship from the Max Planck Institute, Polymer Research. She obtained her PhD in Germany, so in 2006, and her major work is in biosensing application. So she has worked as an academic researcher among the world of academic institutions. So many places like in the US, in UK, in Austria, in the US, and in Singapore also. She joined the British University in Egypt in 2015 as an assistant professor in the Faculty of Engineering for 4 years before being appointed as the director of the Nanotechnology Research Center. And so Dr. Amal has also been authored for more than 36 peer-reviewed publications and 7 book chapters, and she holds 4 patents. So that's really impressive. So with this short introduction, so Professor Kasry, so I let you the screen. And we see the screen. Very good. Thank you.
But you're muted.
Screen, yeah. And your microphone.
Sorry, I was trying to do to unmute. Sorry about that. Okay, now I'm ready. Thank you very much, Christine. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening also to all the participants. I'm very glad to be in this meeting, and APS is very important to me because I was a member of APS for many years. I used to attend all the meetings regularly So I'm really happy and really grateful for this invitation. Thank you very much. So thank you, Christine. Thank you also for the kind introduction. As you mentioned, I'm going to talk about our role here at UNESCO in capacity building in the field of basic sciences and engineering, and how this can achieve the sustainable development goals. So I will start with just a quick introduction about UNESCO. As you know, of course, UNESCO is intergovernmental organization. It is part of the UN system. It was established in 1946, currently has 194 member states. And of course, the main objectives is to contribute to peace and security in the world. So we always say science for peace. For 75 years now, promoting international cooperation in science and also international programs. I mean, the promotion was through several international and intergovernmental programs, as I will show you as we go in this presentation. So the main, let us say, tasks or ideas of what UNESCO does. UNESCO is a laboratory of ideas. It develops policies. It does policy analysis also. It is a standard setter, working with member states very closely to set some standards for everything in education and science, in culture, and in other fields. It is also a catalyst and the motor for international cooperation. Partnerships and cooperation are very important for us at UNESCO. And of course, it is a capacity builder, as you have seen. So we try to build the capacities not only in basic science and engineering, but also in STI, in science policy and the science policy interfaces, also, of course, in education and culture and communication and others. So in the natural science sector, we work on different fields. We have three major divisions: the science policy and the basic science. We also have the water division and the earth science. So if you look at why actually we have this and why and how this can achieve the SDGs, we face major issues like failure of climate change. So mitigation and adaptation of extreme and also extreme weather events, sometimes natural disasters, either man-made disasters or environmental disasters, also biodiversity loss. All these are major challenges that we must find solutions for. So all these major challenges can cause pressure on the natural resources, and they can cause many conflicts and violence sometimes. Also, this is due to the uneven distribution, of course, of the resources. And people sometimes are forced to be displaced due to lack of water, lack of food, and of course, also this causes less job opportunities. So the international and the intergovernmental programs that we have in the natural science sector, they mainly try to tackle these challenges and try to find solutions. So of course, I'm not going to speak about all these because this is like this is from the whole natural science sector, which is huge. I'm going to be focused more on what we do in the basic sciences and engineering. UNESCO has S in it since the beginning, since it started, referring to science. And before I talk about what we do here in the headquarters, we have two important units. The first is the International Center for Theoretical Physics, which is known, very prestigious and very well known to all physicists around the world. It is a Category 1 center at UNESCO, based on a tripartite agreement between UNESCO, IAEA, and the Italian government, and of course the World Academy of Science, which is also a unit under the natural science sector. And you can see from the number, just a quick look at the numbers, you can see the influence of these two on academics and the scientists and researchers around the world. The science policy, this is the division of science policy and the basic sciences, and we focus on three different major topics. So we have three sections. The first is to reinforce capacity building in basic and applied sciences and scientific research. to strengthen innovation technology development in member states. And I like this scheme here because I always say this in different meetings. Basic science is always dominated by the applications, and it is extremely important to explain always and to make it clear that without basic sciences on the long term, there won't be applications. So it is very important to pay attention to this. So we need to educate the people about that. We need to equip the policymakers with the tools to understand this, and that's why we have now something like the decade, which I will come to at the end of this talk. So all the other different fields, like in biodiversity, in energy, in water, in medicine, they depend on, they have the roots in basic science. And then we also have the science policy section, which basically supporting member states in to develop policies, science policy and science policy interface, and also open science, which is major here at UNESCO after the open science recommendations that were issued 2 years ago. And then we have also the indigenous knowledge section, which is focusing on strengthening member states' capacities and awareness to protect, safeguard, and promote indigenous knowledge of climate, weather, ecosystem, and biodiversity. So we work in harmony, these 3 sections together. We have a lot of things that we do together, of course. And now I will focus more on the basic science research, innovation, and engineering. So our main mandate here is to build scientific, technological, and engineering capacities to provide solutions to the sustainable development challenges such as in health, in agriculture, in energy, in industry as well. Also, we do invest in building these capacities. We carry out scientific, no, we don't do the research, but we support the scientific researchers. And of course, we create networks, and as I mentioned in the beginning, networks and collaboration are very, very important in order to deliver our mandates, and I will show you some of these examples. So based on that, we have 3 major programs under basic science and engineering. We have the basic science program, which is basically under International Basic Science Program, and then we have the engineering program, and we have the STEM, and I will explain why I show STEM linking both. In basic science program, we are focusing more on building capacities, institutional capacity, and the human capacities of scientists in the field of basic science, in the fundamentals. So this serves as a foundation for applied sciences. In the field of engineering, obviously, we focus more on the technologies, on supporting engineers, and also on tackling also the gaps in the field of engineering, especially the new technologies. While in the STEM, we focus more on the school level, and we have been working really hard during the past 1 year to develop new strategy for STEM, which is based on defining what exactly STEM is. What do we want from STEM education? And STEM education often incorporates the hands-on learning, problem-solving skills, encouraging students also to think critically. This is what we really want to reach. It's not our aim that everyone in the end has to be scientists or engineers, but it's important that they know how to critically think, how to judge, because this is how people will be ready to solve challenges and to find solutions to major problems. This is what we believe, and this is what we are trying hard to work on. The STEM acronym, when it started in US, actually, as we all know, it's to find ways to integrate these science and technology and engineering. And I believe until now, it's not really, this integration is not really achieved. So I think we need to work harder on this task. International Basic Sciences Program, which is we consider as the umbrella for all our activities, and I should have put more information about this here. I didn't have time, unfortunately, but basically it is an umbrella for all our basic science activities in the field of fundamental sciences, in physics and chemistry and biological sciences. It has a scientific advisory board composed of eminent scientists who advises us on on the advances in the basic sciences disciplines and how we can connect it to applications. And this advisory board meets once a year to review and advise, and we try to work closely with them as well. Also, I want to introduce two of the most important tools we have at UNESCO, which are the Category 2 centers and the UNESCO Chairs. Category 2 centers are centers of excellence. They are supported directly by the governments. Currently, under basic science and engineering, we have 23 different centers. As you see here, they are distributed here around the world. So if we look in Africa, for example, there are five different ones in Africa, 4 in the basic sciences and 1 in engineering. If you look in here in Europe and North America, for example, we have 6 distributed here, also covering different basic science and engineering disciplines and so on. So in total, we have this mapping here. It's clear for us what they do, and we have they are working on different fields. We have 12 centers in like really the fundamentals. Biotechnology, 5 centers, engineering, 5 centers, renewable energy, we have 2 centers, one in Morocco and one the other one in Russia, I think. And we have 1 space technology center in Thailand. So as you see, it's really very diverse, and since it's covering a wide range of disciplines, we try to work with them because for us, they are the experts. And here, now, if we move to here, we ran a survey among these centers like one and a half year ago, I think, to understand more what they do and how they can work with us or how we can work with them. And you can see here that there are some of them are focusing more really on R&D and in capacity building, and some are focusing more on the outreach and so on. So, for example, the one in Brazil, a very, very active one, the one in Pakistan as well, this is in the field of biotechnology. The one in Brazil was established by ICTP in the field of theoretical physics. India also quite active in capacity building and so on. And this survey was quite useful for us because we could figure if we want to develop certain activities or capacity building activity, we know to whom we can reach out and with whom we can work. And now another very important tool are the UNESCO Chairs. The UNESCO Chairs is a very big program at UNESCO. It was established more than 30 years ago, and currently I think there's almost close to 1,000 chairs or something like this in UNESCO. In the field of basic science and engineering, we have 62 chairs. Also, again, in different parts of the world, as you see here, the map is clear, and also in different fields. And the bigger the circle here, the higher the number of chairs. So you can see in China, for example, I think it's the biggest number of chairs in China, and then Thailand, and then Nigeria. So it's really very interesting combination. And the different, these are the different fields. Actually, this is wrong, 62, not 60, I'm sorry. But you see all the different fields these chairs work on: microbiology, health science, cryobiology, green chemistry, agriculture, and so on. And again, as I said, some of them are very active, and some of them join us in most of our activities in webinars. They give lectures, they train students, they host students. So for us also, this is a very important tool to work with UNESCO Chairs. And it's a pleasure to work with all of them, actually. They are very committed and very helpful. One of the things I wanted to draw your attention to is the UNESCO science report. And I will show you in a minute why I am showing this, or why I'm talking about the report. This report, the latest report, was issued in 2021, like 2 or 3 years ago. And since 1993, 6 reports have been issued. And usually it takes about 5 years to issue one report, because this is a global report. You need to collect the data from every corner in the world. You need to analyze the data. It's really very informative report, and I invite all of you to take a look at on our website, on the UNESCO website. You can download it for free. And here, for example, I just picked this one for a reason. which shows the share of global publications on material science since 2011 until 2019. And here you can see that the country that has the highest number of publications in this field is China, and then you can see all the other Russia, India, USA, Indonesia. There is a huge difference actually. But the striking point here that you don't see any African country here, although there are a lot of good scientists in Africa. There is quality research, but it's still not enough, and not enough to appear in such mapping. And this was one of the reasons that Africa is a priority for UNESCO. Africa is one of the two major priorities of UNESCO, Africa and gender equality. So for us, most of our activities we are focusing on Africa because it's a priority for us, and it's very important to help the scientists there. So this chart or a graph like this give us an indication that we need to do more capacity building in Africa. And we started two big initiatives recently, around one and a half year ago, and they are going quite well. The first one is the remote access, and I really invite you all to help us in this remote access initiative, because we are still looking for more partners and more laboratories to grant access. Basically, there are three phases of this activity. The first phase is to find a lab willing to give remote access to their equipment, mostly characterization techniques or any other techniques that can be remotely accessed. And then we identify laboratories or the scientists who actually lack access to this kind of equipment. And then we select one or two scientists. They travel to be trained on this one, and we financially, with other partners, we have two major partners, the CNRS here in France and the International Union of Crystallography, because we started with the crystallography technique. And then the scientists travel to attend the training, and then they go back home. The second phase, they go back, they help their counterparts there, and they start using remotely of course with certain regulations, of course, and then they start to train other scientists and also educate. So they use it not only for research but also for education. And the phase three, when they have the scientists in this country have full remote access for research and education. And this whole cycle can take about 2 to 3 months, because the identifying the scientists and then traveling can be, they need to spend about 1 month of training and then going back training others. So in 3 or 4 months, the whole cycle can be completed. And we started with one technique, which is a single crystal X-ray diffractometer. And I'm sure as physicists, you know that this is a very sophisticated and expensive technique. And in Africa, there are only very few, mostly in South Africa. And we used this as a demo to start this initiative. So as I said, there are only few in Africa. So we worked on this to give remote access to the scientists. And this was really with the help of Professor Claude Lecomte in Lorraine University. He was inspiring actually for us, because he's the one who initiated this idea, and we were very inspired by him. And he helps African scientists, a lot of African scientists. He travels all the time there to give training, and he hosts students in his researchers in his lab. And this is when we kicked off this what is called AfraMed. So we were here in Paris, in Nancy actually, in France, and we were watching the colleagues in Cameroon at that time. And here the operator, he just put the sample, and they do everything remotely. So the idea here is that because basically people now, in order to do characterization or to analyze samples, they have to send the samples abroad, but they don't know how the measurements were done. They don't understand the system, and this can never help in producing high quality research. In order to produce high quality research, people have to do the work by their hand, and this is our main target here, is that the people understand, they do their own work, they own the data, And this will help them to produce high quality research, which should contribute to also resolving many of the challenges. So we started with this, as I said, and now we have here in this map, you see we have 8 scientists from 8 different countries. Now we are working on collecting data to see how many they trained inside each country, so we can get an image of or a view of how the total number of scientists who were trained. 3 countries have full access, have remote access, and the others are still in the process to get remote access. And recently we issued a call to all member states, urging them to help us by encouraging the research institutes and universities to allow this access. And in fact, we received a really very good response, and we are trying now to regularize this. So we are creating a call soon for African scientists to apply online, to indicate their needs, and then we will match them with the available equipment and available laboratories. So this is going really, it's a bit slow, of course, but it's going well. As I said, we need more laboratories willing to support us. So if you are interested to this, please contact me. I will be happy to work with you on this. Another initiative we found it quite interesting is to link science and engineering to entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship here, it's important. It became a kind of a hot topic. It's not only to have startup companies or some, which is also important, but the main idea was to also to help the scientists to take their innovative ideas from the lab out to the market, because it's important that there are many excellent scientists, but sometimes they produce very high quality research and the science, but they don't know how we can move further with it. And it's important to give them this insight. So we started with this nanotechnology entrepreneurship bootcamp for 10 African countries. We trained 71 scientists from 10 African countries. As you see here, it was a hybrid one. And the scientists were trained technically inside the lab, and also with a lot of lectures in entrepreneurship and the concept itself, and how, and in the end there were a competition. There was a competition between the teams, and there was a winning team in the end who came with the best idea on how they presented their innovative ideas at the end of this intensive bootcamp. It was a very interesting experience, and we started a series of these boot camps. So this was the first one. It was in January last year, 2022. The second one was in the same year in September in Panama this time, and we trained also scientists from 10 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. And you can see here, these are the trainers. It was less this time, only 35, because we decided to have only physical training, not hybrid, because we found that the physical training is much more beneficial for them, for the trainees, than the hybrid one. And the third one will be in Mongolia. Actually, as we speak now, we are preparing for it. It will be in 2 days, or it will start in 2 or 3 days in Mongolia. So we started to receive requests also from member states who are interested in developing such a training program, and we try also to follow up with the trainees in order to measure the impact of what we do. Now, for the engineering program also, so we have the basic sciences and the engineering. And for this, I would say the most important activity we do in engineering, that we are working now on issuing a global engineering report. It will be from between 3 and 5 years to work on that. We are negotiating this with several partners right now. And we found that especially in Africa and in Latin America, there is a big lack of there are huge gaps in the field of engineering and the engineers, especially in the emerging technologies. And we decided that it will be very important to tackle this. In fact, there were 2 engineering reports before, but they were focusing more on SDGs, and this time we decided we need really to identify these gaps. especially in the data, because a lot of data are not available, and we need to work on this. So this will be, we hope to start by mid this year, maybe before end of the year we will start. So in 3 years, hopefully we have a global report on engineering and engineers. And but in parallel with this important activity, we have the Africa Engineering Week, which is a hands-on training. This takes place every year. It was established, this series of Africa Engineering Week was established by UNESCO and the WFEO, World Federation of Engineering Organization, which is a very close partner with us. We have the World Engineering Day. We celebrate it every year on the 4th of March. WIMENG, we work with them. This is an NGO in South Africa. They reached out now. They helped many women engineers around in Africa specifically. ICT is an education-based NGO or non-corporate in UK. They do space education, so we work with them also closely on boot camps for space education for 13 to 18 years old. So a lot of activities, again, more towards STEM. And then we have the STEM program, as I said in the beginning. And I forgot to mention why I put the STEM like bridging between both, because as I said, while basic science and engineering are focusing more on the early career scientists and researchers and engineers, the STEM, we are really trying to build the base for this. This report was issued by the education, our colleagues in the education sector. Women in STEM and women and girls are particularly underrepresented in science and engineering. We all know this. It's only 35% of STEM students in higher education are women, and then it goes really down when you go to very specific fields, like for example in communication technology, only 3%. So this is a huge problem. UNESCO is paying close attention to this, and as I said in the beginning, gender equality is one of the two major priorities for UNESCO. From our side, at the science sector, we have the STEM program where we focus more on the hands-on training. We focus on the technical part. So we would like to increase the interest of young people in science disciplines, encourage them, especially girls, to enroll in science. And also, as I said, not only to enroll in science, but also to think, to learn how to critically think and to judge, not necessarily to study science or engineering. But of course, we need to increase the number of women and girls in science and engineering. We use several tools for that. We use robotics kits, 3D printing, AI softwares, microscience kits, which is, I like to call it lab in a box. It's basically a small box with a small equipment that you can teach physics, chemistry, biology, and it's very good in case of rural areas. In case of emergency situations, you can use them to teach the students. In fact, we train the teachers, and the teachers in turn, they train the students, because this is how you can reach out to more students. And we achieved a lot. In fact, these numbers are higher now. I need to modify them. So more than 500 robotics and 5,000 microscience kits, more than 1,000 teachers were trained, and more than 10,000 students were trained. But these numbers were from a few months ago, so it's higher now. And we have also for advocacy, not only for advocacy, it's part of the capacity building. Also, we have the Green Chemistry for Life program. This is the FOSAGRO UNESCO IUPAC. FOSAGRO is a Russian company in the field of fertilizers, and they have this major interest in green chemistry. This program has been running at UNESCO for the past 10 years, very successful. So far, we supported 49 scientists working in the field of green chemistry based on a proposal. It's 1-year grant program. And in the end, the scientists have to provide us with reports, and amazing work was done actually under this grant program. And we have prizes like Equatorial Guinea Prize in Life Sciences. This prize supports three scientists every year in the field of life sciences. We have the Carlos Finlay Prize in Microbiology. This is since the 80s of the last century. It awards 1 or 2 scientists every year working in the field of microbiology. We have the STEM. This is the newest prize we have with the Saudi Foundation, Al-Fuzan, supporting also 5 scientists every year working in the field of STEM. So they are working more and more diverse kind of research. So these are all the laureates of these awards are usually great. One of the laureates who got the Equatorial Guinea, I think it was he was a Nobel Prize later. Now, I think I give you an idea. I hope I give you enough idea about what we do. These are just some examples of what we do here in basic science and engineering. And now I would like just to give you a quick update on the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development. Basically, this decade was a result of the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development. As Christine mentioned in the beginning, we celebrated the closing of this year with IUPAB, with our partners in CERN last year in December. Last August, this decade was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly, with UNESCO being the lead agency. And we work with all our partners now in developing a clear vision and the mission and implementation. And I think it's a great opportunity for science, and it is all sciences. It's not only the basic science, it's all sciences, including social science. So it's a really great opportunity for us to show the value and the importance of science in transforming societies and building really a culture of science as we hope to achieve. So here, this is a draft resolution by the General Assembly, and we really seek to drive a transformative era of science to prioritize sustainability, resilience, and well-being of the planet. Now, these are some of the challenges we think why we are actually why do we need a decade of science for sustainable development? Because we have more major challenges in the world. We want to improve the global scientific literacy, and this is one of the most important targets we want to achieve, to improve global scientific literacy, to transform or reform the science systems to better respond better to societal needs. We want to accelerate the transition to open science. We want to promote actionable sciences. And also we want to strengthen international collaboration in the field of basic sciences. These are all, we consider them challenges or things that need to be improved. And that's why the decade can help. And all this, by working on all these things, we can hopefully build a culture of science, which is the ultimate goal or the ultimate achievement we want to have by end of this decade. So the vision and the mission of the decade is to build a culture of science by fostering globally connected community empowered by rigorous, high quality, accessible, ethical, and innovative sciences, driving holistic sustainable development for a resilient, equitable future. And the mission is to empower the broad range of societal actors to catalyze sustainable and ethical solutions to the world's pressing challenges through evidence-based policies and equitable, open, actionable, and transdisciplinary science. We have 4 or 5, I mean, we are still actually developing this with all our partners, major outcomes anticipated to be achieved. A global community empowered through scientific literacy. We really want to increase the scientific literacy around the world, and we hope one of our major plans is to establish an index for scientific literacy. Multidisciplinarity and transdisciplinarity science systems also are driving and responsible ethical knowledge creation, technology and innovation, scientific progress, knowledge, infrastructure, also basic sciences, of course. So basic science has to be an important component of this decade. And we need, as I said, we really hope to achieve a culture of science in the end of all this. This is our, excuse me, this is our ultimate goal. And to do this, we do this, or we will try to do this through several steps or several phases. First is to foster science society policy dialogue, to collaborate and exchange knowledge, to share infrastructure and resources, and to engage the community in the end and scale up the impactful solution. And we expect the impact of this is to have a robust global culture of science that can lead to more informed decision making, greater participation in scientific endeavors, and enhanced capacity to address complex societal challenges, also to contribute to a more resilient, sustainable, prosperous, and equitable and just world. This is our final aim or ultimate aim, and we have very clear strategy in implementing this decade that is to decentralize. So it's really important that everyone in the world knows and understand that they will have a role in achieving the goals of the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development. We coordinate, but of course, obviously, no one can do everything alone. It's really very important that everyone knows what to do to contribute to the achievement of this decade, and that's why we will have a very clear plan to decentralize this, to have working groups around the world, reaching out to everyone and leaving no one behind. And before I end, I like usually to use some photos from the archive of UNESCO, and but just here it's very important for me always to show that the first Director General of UNESCO was a scientist. Actually, he was a zoologist, Professor Julian Huxley. He was the Director General from 1946 to 1948. And also UNESCO's science cooperation offices established in 1952. So there were science offices, 4 or 5 around the world. So science was really very present, strongly present since the establishment of UNESCO. And this photo I like to show a lot also from UNESCO archive. It's from Afghanistan in 1964, where a trainer was, or an instructor was training some students on spectral analysis. Very interesting. Of course, here we know these are famous. There are some famous scientists here in the photo. Niels Bohr, I think, and so this is when CERN was established. So the agreement, I think, was negotiated here at UNESCO. And here, yes, this is another photo also from CERN, establishment of CERN 1953. So see these great scientists that we all know. And of course, Professor Abdus Salam, who established the International Center of Theoretical Physics. And this year we are going to celebrate the 60th anniversary of ICTP. Very soon we will have an event here at UNESCO next month, actually on the 10th of April, on the occasion of the 60th anniversaries of the ICTP. So I come here to the end. I'm sorry if it was longer than but thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think it was essential, really, really astonishing. So all those different activities, laboratories of activities as you described. And I think it's so important that we can communicate on popular platform like this as well, so that people realize as well. 8 billion people in the world. And I think, as you said, we need to empower not those 8 billion, but then a lot of the people. And I see in the audience, we have here as well a lot of people who have the capacity for that. Building capacity in location, but as well thanks to people. So thanks a lot. So we'll start the question. I see that we started with several of them, maybe in the Q&A, so question box. So from Professor Haddad, so from Tunisia, she was one of our dear professor of atomic physics in Tunisia, so for the ASP, the African School. So asking for the UNESCO program to help Africa and the NEMA country, so to catch up the race on quantum technology. And we have also Joe there, you're aware. So
well,
first question for
yes.
you.
Do you want me to answer first? Or?
Exactly, please. This is for you to
Okay,
understand,
thank
and
you.
you
Sure.
ask the ball as well to Joe, because I think we have the key stakeholder here.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. I mean, it's not specifically for the MENA region, but basically we work everywhere in the world. As I said, Africa is a priority for us, but we work everywhere in the world. And we have 6 main regions in UNESCO, and MENA in the Middle East. It's part in the Arab region, part in Africa, and part in Europe as well. So I mean, if you are interested in certain programs, as I said, very soon we will have this call for scientists to apply for remote access, for example. I mean, it's the remote access is quite general, and it can cover different fields, including quantum technologies. It's not specifically about quantum technologies. However, as you might know, next year we will have the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology, and I'm sure Joe, maybe at some point we would like to comment. You would like to comment on that. But the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology will be also a great opportunity to advance this field and to help scientists around the world also to get access to some technologies, to interact, to join some activities in this field. So we hope this can happen, yes, in the future soon.
So thanks a lot for this complete answer. And indeed, Joe, do you want to add anything for the International Year of Quantum?
Yeah, no, I just say that addressing the quantum divide is a really very important part of that year because it is a divide. There are lots of quantum technologies, and Amal, you mentioned when you go on the engineering side, there are many technologies that address the Sustainable Development Goals, and I think there's lots of quantum technologies already here. We've had 100 years of quantum mechanics, so anyway, they are in every part of the world doing great things to help with water purification, energy, etc. So anyway, but that's the point of the year, is really to raise awareness about this and to help address this quantum divide, which I think really is a very important thing to take a look at. Thanks.
And now the how. So I think the next question is fundamental for the case of Africa as well. So by Stéphane Kenho, so who is just finishing this very first conference for physics, so computing physics, so also in Central Africa, here in Brazzaville, so where I had the honor as well to be. So we have, I think, a lot of, from what I've seen as well in person, the need for all this capacity, so the computing capacity, the experience, I mean, the hardware as well. So computational physics is a valuable alternative to costly experimental equipment for the unaffordable capacity that they have here. So how can your department help having also a computer center to help research and to contribute to knowledge distribution? So a hub,
Yes,
is it something that you thought about?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it was in our mind, yes, for sure. I totally agree. Computational physics can be quite expensive as well, contrary to what some people think, because I know that some researchers go to the theoretical work to avoid the need for big experimental techniques. But in fact, the computational work also needs facilities and computers and softwares, which can be quite expensive. This was also in our mind. It is part of, I mean, we will include it in the remote access initiative, but as I said, we are starting step by step. We started with one technique that we thought the scientists in Africa really need, and we need also support. We facilitate. We have some financial. We give some financial support as well for the entities that is willing to give access to their facilities by supporting the scientists to go to be trained, and then as I explained, to go back home and work remotely. So yes, we will consider also to provide or facilitate access to computational facilities. We are trying to identify some partners now who can help us in this. So please, very soon, as I said, there will be a call. The call will be announced on our website. I will also share in my social media. So please keep tuned, because very soon this call will go out. So it's for a specific technique. However, you will have the chance also to indicate what other needs you have, because this we will keep it in our databases for the future. Once this other technique is available, we will start connecting you with it. So please follow our website, and hopefully very soon you will see this call going out. Thank you.
So thanks a lot. So that helps. Indeed, the remote access. So maybe two, if I can ask. I think I saw in one of the slides, so the Republic Democratic of Congo as well was one of the existing partners already. So for instance, is it something that can be, or can you elaborate maybe on how this is supported?
The remote access, you mean?
Exactly. Is it through university or through the government, for instance, or through individual?
No, currently it's not through the government, it's through institutions, research centers, universities. For example, now we have with Lorraine University, the responsible for the professor who is responsible for the lab is willing to do that. So it's not with the government. So we keep the governments informed, obviously, because we work we are intergovernmental organization. We have to work with the government, so we keep them informed. We send them asking them to encourage the research institutes to support and help. But we usually work directly with the laboratories, with the institutes.
And I think this is perfect to have this example as well, so that people can understand as well how we can connect also.
Yes.
And also, if I can mention this, the bandwidth as well in Africa, which is potentially an issue. So ICT connection, I think it's also maybe some of those sponsors that you are calling for. So indeed, any sponsor, I think are really more than welcome.
That's a good point. Yes, this is an important point. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the electrical. Many difficulties and challenges in Africa. So I think it's really good that you focus on that aspect. Very good.
Thank you.
So the question, so from Leo Vionellini, so who is asking as well if it is sufficient to advocate so open science if big infrastructure do not want it possible, doesn't make it possible, sorry, in so many countries. So specific, you said actually 2 years ago there was this. So how fast is it implemented?
I mean, open science is not only about remote access, or remote access is part of the concept of open science, but open science is much broader than this. It includes many sharing data and sharing publications, and it's really very broad concepts. So for us, we created the program, or the remote access program. It is under the open science, but our main aim, as I said, is we understand that the big infrastructure is not there, but that's why we are trying to do the remote access, because even if some institutes can purchase this equipment, there are two major problems now. First of all, the maintenance fees are usually very expensive, and whenever there is a problem, if you cannot solve it immediately, the equipment will not work. The second is that the technology is really changing very, very fast now. So the equipment that you buy this year, next year, maybe it's already old. This is something we all know and we are all facing. So the remote access was a solution for the countries or the universities or the institutes that cannot afford such maintenance fees or purchasing equipment and so on. So the infrastructure does not exist, you're right, and that's why we have the remote access, but it is only part of the open science. So we advocate for open science because open science is much broader than this. This is only one thing.
I think it's really a good point, indeed, the maintenance as well in situ and the engineering aspect as well that you're mentioning. I think it's really good to have as well both connected, so that the equipment, not because they get old, technology aging, but as well because sometimes you cannot even repair because of the knowledge that is maybe in terms of operation. So
Yes,
that's an
exactly.
She's connecting to the engineering and the fourth question. So by Emilio Asensi, so who is also working at the ESS and also from CERN. So a very important background in engineering. So looking at all the effort that you put, so thanking you, and then to, so do you use or are you aware of any indicator to measure technology and innovation in the design phase to assess how much the end product or its part can be repaired and repurposed? So if so, so do you know, so if there are plans, if not, so if there are plans to implement in engineering requirement and that direction?
This is a very interesting question. It's a very interesting question. I know the answer is I don't think I'm aware of indicator to measure the technology and innovation in their design phase, but it is something to consider looking at. Perhaps while we are now trying to negotiate our next engineering report, I think it is something to consider. So thank you for this important question. Thank you.
So indeed, thanks a lot. So Emilio, and maybe indeed some possibility to capture, and I know that he built up also some startups, so we can certainly find ways to help you gathering
Absolutely.
ideas.
Yes.
So thank you. So then the next question from Sava, so is it, so what is the role of us, so as a student, in advancing basic science for sustainable development? If you can give some example, the role of student. When you're a student, you have the future in front of you. How but then indeed, what can they learn, or how can they be agile in the choice of PhD, for instance, or beyond?
Well, this is another interesting question, and I think this can create a lot of debate actually, because I have seen some students who even if they are interested in basic sciences, they choose to go more towards the applied science because sometimes it's easier, it's faster. They can have something like really tangible by end of their PhD, for example. So my point is that it's very important that you believe that basic science is also as important, and even if you take a bit longer to study or to have your degree or to achieve something, I think it's really worth it in the end. Because the basic science, the fundamentals, without the fundamentals, the basics, basically you will not be able to do much. So, but also I have to say, it's not only the role of the students. The student can have this interest, but it's also the role also of the whole society, the whole scientific society actually. The academic community, the universities, the research centers, the policymakers. That's why we advocate for basic science. That's why we had something like the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development, because we wanted also the policymakers to understand that investing in basic sciences is important, is not less important than investing in the new technologies. And if the policymakers understand this and they put the right policies to encourage this, the students will also have that opportunity and the chance to work on the field of basic sciences. So it's a joint responsibility also, actually. It's not only the students.
Indeed, so the full academy and mentorship and professors, as you said. But I think it's good as a student to be bottom up as well, thinking in terms of how they could, from their own expertise as well, find ways to enlighten. Yeah. Very good. So, and then we have one comment, and maybe I'll read some question as well from Michel Spiro from the IUPAP. So it's an honor to have you with us as well, Michel. So I will read so quickly. So the basic science, curiosity driven also. So also essential and not enough to reach sustainability. So we needed to embark all science, pure and applied, natural, social, and human. So all knowledge, including traditional and indigenous. So there is a lot, so that we call the transdisciplinarity, indeed. So that's how you started as well. So this is why, so we are setting up an Earth Humanity Coalition. So which is, so within the program of UNESCO, so for the decade to stimulate a network of transdisciplinary hubs in village, in province, in countries, in region, and at least one global. So one possibility would be to set up a worldwide grid of transdisciplinarity hubs to sustainability on the model of the worldwide grid of the LHC, Higgs boson search and studies. So one target could be to share computing infrastructure, data, software, target digital twins of the Earth. And this is clearly not the overall program of the Decade of Science for Sustainable Development, but the experiments of big science could be very valuable. So for creating a network and distributed large infrastructure. So maybe this is also a good idea to take into account to tune the program. So how would you respond to Michelle?
Well, thank you very much, Michelle. It's really great to see you here, and and of course I work with Michelle since for the past 3 years. We have been working really closely on the International Year of Basic Science and now on the decade. And of course, the idea of the Earth Humanity Coalition is a great idea. The coalition will be a very essential and important part of the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development. It will be on the executive committee of this of the decade. And the idea of the transdisciplinarity hub, so we discussed it with Michelle and with the other partners, and it's a terrific idea, and we are really looking forward to work with the coalition on this, because I think it will be a very important network around the world. It will be the grid that connects the whole world, and I totally agree with Michelle that it's important that we talk about all sciences. It's the natural, the applied, the basic, and the human sciences, because we do the sciences for the humanity, right? We do the science for the people, for the planet. So definitely it has to be everyone, as I said in the beginning, must be involved in this. So I totally agree with Michelle, of course, on that. And thank you very much, Michelle, for listening. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so thanks again. So for the IUPAP and all the initiatives, again, few of the sessions there that we had, thanks to the all those, I mean, nice presentation from Sylvina and then from also from Michelle. We have another question from Omolulu as well. So Akindajo, so also was the former head also from the ICTP in Rwanda. So this is really to try to see how, so will the science literacy index include a numerous index, or will it be, will they be separated? So numerically index and literacy index. So alphanumeric.
Actually, there are already some indexes for the scientific literacy or science literacy. So we will not be starting from scratch. We will have to start with a certain base. When we started like talking about this, I was thinking that like, you know, we needed really to do a good research in order to understand that there are already some indices for science literacy, and we will try just we need to work on this really with more careful research in order to see all these different because the different indices depend on how you define actually the scientific literacy. And it's definitely, the definition is different from one region to the other, even from one country to the other. And there are a lot of scientific literature, a lot of publications actually about this, about how you define scientific literacy and how you measure it and how you. So there are already ways to measure. So as I said, I'm not sure yet how it will be, but I would say it will be numerical. I think it will be important because this usually gives a good indication of what's happening, even for people who are not specialized, who are not in the field. If you give numbers, it makes it clearer. So I think it will be like this, but as I said, we are starting now, and we will set hopefully before end of this year, we will set a task group or a group to work on this task.
So indeed, it's a long equation with many unknown, and yes, you said that the culture as well of the country, or all those different equations will include as well the culture of the country with an important weight as yes, well, I guess, for, as you said, Africa continent. So thanks a lot for this answer. And now one important aspect as well in terms of, as you said, so women as well. So is there any action to help girls to access education and see Afghanistan from Sonia Haddad?
Yes, after the recent circumstances in Afghanistan, UNESCO had an executive board document to help especially women and girls in Afghanistan, and our colleagues in the education sector are trying to do that. We tried to send some of the STEM kits through our offices there. Unfortunately, due to the difficult situation, it was not easy to do that, but we are trying. We are still exploring ways to do that. It will have to be online training. So yeah, so hopefully at some point we can do this. But there are some projects from our colleagues in the education sector to develop some small projects to help women and girls in Afghanistan.
Thanks a lot for this answer. And indeed, we can also transdisciplinary find ways as well to support with other associations. And indeed, for the case of education, so I think we have also, just to mention, in July, supposed to be in July, so for the women as well in STEAM, where they will be, so the former, the head of the STEAM for the International Institute of Education. So she will be presenting that aspect. And I think we will ask also about Afghanistan, but STEAM women, so that will be a focus in July for the physics matter. So we can follow up on that. And so then the next question from Fatou Diop. So looking at the case of South Africa, so how can we be assisted by UNESCO and get funding in South Africa? So in a general way, what are the different disciplines that for South Africa already looked at by UNESCO?
And in South Africa, South Africa actually, this technique that I showed today, it exists in South Africa. So South Africa is quite advanced in different fields. But of course, again, we can help with the remote access. Please keep an eye on the call that will be issued soon and feel free to apply for it. And if your application goes through, you will have the chance to receive the training and receive access to the equipment that will be available for you. And we also have another, maybe I missed to mention that we have also an agreement with another corporate in the US helping us to provide small second-hand equipment needed because one of the issues that faced us when we started this remote access is that the process labs also are not well equipped. So even if the scientists have access to characterization techniques, they don't have good process labs to produce samples. And this was another challenge we faced. And then we decided to work with this corporate to support by second-hand equipment, small equipment that are needed for process, like small spectrophotometers, small microscopes, electrophoresis, PCRs, these type of equipment. So please, and all this will be identified through the application, through the call that will be issued soon. So we can help in this if there will be an Africa Engineering Week in Angola in September. And also we will create a mechanism also for some engineers and scientists to apply to attend. So please also keep tuned for that if it will be interesting for you to be trained on entrepreneurship, engineering entrepreneurship.
Thank you. And indeed, I think that maybe the question was related as well to enhance our work on energy storage. And maybe there, what about, for instance, for material for hydrogen or for, do you know any specific or as well, maybe it will be?
No, because we don't have really, our energy program is still young and no, I cannot really say that we can provide something very specific to energy storage or to energy transition in general. But there are some centers. In fact, there is a center in Congo Brazzaville where you are now, Christine. It's a new center in the field of energy, and I think it has a very good potential to grow in the region to help actually the countries also in the region. We are in contact with them to see what we can do with them. So I'm sure while you are there also you can have a chance to see it.
Indeed, and this is exactly as a matter of fact. So in the north of the country for renewable development, renewable energy. And we will have, as a matter of fact, for the APS April meeting, so the director as well of this lab, so Mary, will be presenting her work and that development. So then we have next another question from Sirius. So Welsa, who is the president as well of the International Association for Physics Students. So who is asking to elaborate further on the concrete plans and project that UNESCO has for the International Decade. So maybe just to wrap up or summarize what you think is fundamental from the presentation, the second part. Some concrete
yes, thank you for the question. The International Decade, as I said, UNESCO will be coordinating the activities and the projects. But as I said, it's very important to note that the projects will be, or the activities will be decentralized. We have indicated the major outcomes that we want to achieve. Of course, we will have some activities here which will be linked to our activities, to our work. Like, for example, the two initiatives that I showed you, we will embark on them. We will advance them further under the umbrella of the decade, because they contribute to one component, which is, for example, the basic sciences. And we have in another section, we have a science popularization project. We have the open science, different capacity building in science, technology, and the innovation. All these activities contribute to different outcomes. Some of them contribute to the basic science component. Some of them contribute to the science literacy, because, for example, we have a project that might start soon, which is creating a network of science museums. And this one is mainly actually to educate people about how science is important. So it's towards scientific literacy, or enhancing the scientific literacy. So these are examples of the project, but we cannot do everything from UNESCO. That's why I said from the beginning, everything will be implemented by the people in the field, the colleagues in the field, by everyone. So if you yourself have an idea for a project that can contribute to any of these objectives, you will have the chance to apply online. The website hopefully will be released maybe in May, and we will have a platform where anyone interested to contribute to the decade can provide or submit a proposal or the idea, and then we will see how to include this as part of the activities under the umbrella of the decade. So as I said, I repeat again, this is a decade for everyone.
So thank you. So that's really important and interesting how this also public engagement as well can lead also towards and being involved in your démarche. So then we have the next question for the case of Senegal. So this is a lead grant. So Nihat, who was looking from your slide and saw that there was some program as well. So intervene in Senegal. So can you give data? So as a teacher in Southern Senegal, so how can her or she, access those educational places? And then we have the address, so we can also share information after that.
Yes, so actually when we plan for the STEM training using the robotics or the kits like microscience and so on, we do this directly with the national commissions of UNESCO. So we have to work with the government, and the national commission, they facilitate the teachers, the teachers who will be trained. So they select teachers from different regions, for example, of the country, and then we do the training for these selected teachers, and the teachers in turn, they should train their colleagues, other teachers, and also the students. So it could be that maybe you missed these kind of things, but I would, if you are interested in this, I would advise that you can communicate with the National Commission of UNESCO. You can go to them, you can find their information online. Just Google National Commission or Senegal National Commission to UNESCO, you will get the address. You can communicate with them that you are interested to benefit from such thing, and then they will ask us to provide or to organize again this kind of training. And sometimes we do the training in the same country more than 1 and 2 times. It depends on the needs. because sometimes we cannot cover, for example, the whole country in one go, of course. And usually it's about from 3 to 5 days training. It depends also on what is needed. So please express your interest to the National Commission. I'm sure they will let us know, and then we can find the time, the suitable time. It depends on how many other teachers would like to receive this kind of training, but I'm sure there will be opportunities to do another training in Senegal and in other countries also in Africa.
So indeed, so that's really good. So in Senegal, so organized with Dakar as well, and we know there, for instance, also Digital Lab could maybe connect and help with that. This is part also of the team that we're working on with the African School. So it's really good, and we have, so if you need information, please contact us. So with the next question, so you have so many questions, so that's really good.
Thank you.
Inspiring everyone. So with Miguel, so Castro Colin asking, so is there a link to look up as well information so about this particular UNESCO program? So it may be shown also during the presentation, but it needs it. So the slide will be available. You can confirm this, and maybe we can underline some also in the detailed material that we are sharing on our webpage. So that
I am trying I will try to copy the link here, but this is I mean, on the UNESCO website, you can find all the information you need. You need to try to delve into the different links, of course, but if you just Google UNESCO Basic Science Program or UNESCO Engineering Program, it will take you to all the activities that we do, all the events. You will also see the calendar. We organize a lot of webinars, and usually these webinars are open for the public to register and listen to it. So please just check our website, follow the calendar, the UNESCO calendar, and you will see all the events. So we organize about 4 to 5 webinars. All the international days we organize webinars, and usually they are very good because we have very good experts who can speak about several topics. Last year we had 2 important webinars about energy and renewable energy and the energy transition, and it was the response was the feedback was very good. So if you need to know anything about our program, our website has all the information, and it's updated regularly. So
just thanks a lot, and indeed we will also help with this link. So with the next question now from Evangelia as well, Moskopoulou, so from Greece, so one of our so FIP member at large, who is asking as well, so if you could please explain so what the UNESCO Share program is and how can people apply it as well, what are the deadline and what are the different duty as well of UNESCO Shares.
Thank you for the question. This is the UNESCO Chair. As I said, it started at UNESCO like 30 years ago. It's under the education sector. And there is a link also, again, if you Google UNESCO Chair program, you will see all the information, and you will see the application, the link to the application in the same web page at the bottom of the page. The application is not done directly to UNESCO. You need to apply, but it goes to your national commission, the national commission of your country, and they have to send us, because we have to receive the applications from the national commission. So the process is that the deadline is the end of March every year. So you need to apply before that. You need to check. So the next time will be before next year. So now it's too late now. So next year probably. So you can start preparing from now. So again, I will advise that you can talk to the National Commission or send them an email. And also download the application form. Basically, UNESCO Chair is a scientist, an eminent scientist, a university professor who of course has achievements in their field of research, but also showing capability for capacity building programs. Has collaboration, achieving the North-South collaboration, has collaboration with other universities in the South or other research centers, or someone who actually works on the global level, because this is how we can work with them to achieve also what we want here at UNESCO to help scientists around the world. So it is a very interesting program. Usually we also engage the chairs a lot in our webinars and our activities. So if you have a question, specific questions, please feel free to send me an email, and we will be happy to answer any questions you have about the chairs. Quite often we receive questions from chairs, and we meet with them, we explain how they can apply. Sometimes also we tell them if their applications might go through or not. It depends, of course, but just to indicate or to help them to understand what is required exactly before they apply. But again, as in the first phase is not UNESCO's decision. It's actually the National Commission who has to decide first which application will come to us. And the acceptance rate is about 50% from UNESCO.
Okay, so that's not that bad. So thanks a lot for this answer to help as well us to understand a bit how UNESCO is working. And really we understand why you're there as well, to build up capacity and with the competency that you have, I mean, really so thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So the next question from Ashar Mokoso. So speaking about, so what are UNESCO projects for the development of sustainable societies in Africa? So maybe physical societies or any kind of other related societies.
I mean, all what we do actually, supposedly it should contribute to developing sustainable societies in Africa, because this is a very long-term process. It's not something that you can do with 1 or 2 projects. It is a long-term procedure, and the fact that we help scientists to develop, to produce high-quality research and to find the solutions to challenges. This is in the long term, it will definitely contribute to to develop sustainable societies, because sustainable societies needs the efforts of everyone, the scientists, the society itself. They need to be educated how to protect the environment, for example. This is the responsibility of everyone, not only the scientists. So we do the STI, also the science, our colleagues in science policy, the open science. So all this it's really collective efforts in the end towards developing sustainable societies in Africa. So everything I presented, supposedly it should contribute to sustainable societies, but it is. And this is an important actually question, because again we go back to the point of how science is not very well visible to policymakers and also to the society. It is really important that people understand what science is and how it can help them to develop the sustainability. Without science, you cannot actually have a sustainable society. This is the fact that people need to understand. So everything we do contributes to this. But you cannot, it's not something that you can measure immediately. It's not something that you can see immediately from 1 or 2 projects. It is really, it takes years and years to recognize this.
Exactly. So the responsibility of scientists to communicate in a language that everyone can understand, but
absolutely.
The responsibility
Absolutely.
Yeah, I need all the people on the earth to understand and to be proactive rather than reactive, looking at all of that. I think it's essential, as you said. Otherwise, there is no way that we can make it by
absolutely.
only. So thanks a lot for the question and the answer. So the next question is from Sophie Molonzi. So asking if there is any specific training based on energy hybrid system scaled this year, especially for South Africa and Africa. And again, back to this energy aspect, which is fundamental in Africa. So load sharing, all those délestage. So a lot of countries that need to find stability. So sustainability through energy.
Yes.
So, program. It's but can you explain maybe a bit what you're doing in this field?
Well, in energy hybrid systems, I have to admit that we don't have yet concrete projects in this. So not this year, but we are really working hard on developing this, because it needs expertise. It needs partners who we can work with. But I think I would say perhaps next year, because now we are working with a consortium of engineers who are part of a committee, steering committee that are advising the Secretary General, the UN Secretary General, in the field of energy transition. And we are really trying to engage with them to advise us on how to develop such projects. But it's taking time. So we are trying to build in this. So not this year, I cannot promise anything this year, but we will try to do something next year in this regard. Thank you.
So thanks a lot. So we see some priority shaping or reshaping as well from this presentation. So thank you again. So one more question also from a younger student as well that we just had the opportunity to meet. So from Dashi Elanga, so who is a PhD student, so at the Marianne Dorso University, so in the Republic of Congo here, so in Brazzaville. So his question is about the scholarship, so or the financing, so for the renewable energy domain. So for who has projects, sorry, or who will have to work as well in this domain. So this is what is ongoing. So he's really interested so in this domain, but there is in his country so some locked somehow because they don't have any specialist in this domain. So is there any way to help as well with them for the financing of a scholarship and maybe professorship and potential collaboration that could unlock as well the situation? So
I mean, scholarships are not directly from UNESCO because we don't give fellowships unless we have a joint programs with other, like for example, what I showed about a green chemistry grant program. This is like a scholarship program, but it's not for students; it's for PhD holders. We have other collaboration with EMBL in Germany to grant to give grants for researchers in the field of biotechnology, for example. This is for students, but unfortunately not yet in the field of the renewable energy. But I am sure we will work on that. We will try to work also to find the partners to support us in this field. So again, there is no specific, we don't have a specific scholarships in this, but again, if we work with partners on this domain, again, we will definitely announce it on our website. So I encourage everyone to look regularly at the website because usually there are a lot of new things that come up sometimes. And it's interesting also to follow all the activities, not only from the science sector, but also from the education, because there is a higher education division in the education sector, and also they have some networks. And so I advise, please check our website.
Thank you for this good answer, which will be, of course, evolving. But indeed, so the point is really maybe also in terms of the hardware, so to be able to support, because indeed, when you do your PhD, you want to make some measurement. So there is a lot of knowledge, so in Africa as well for the numerics aspect. So back to your earlier question and how we can maybe help for this renewable energy. You mentioned as well this development as well of this center. So I think indeed it's good to see that. Then the next question, so from Onel Makela. So what is the strategy that can be implemented to improve the access to quality education and research facility in basic science across Africa? So in general, a strategy, so it will be something that will be provided already. You mentioned a few of those, but maybe to summarize what you think could be for next year.
So I mean, quality education, this is it is something we strive for, of course, but it also needs working on curricula and stuff like that. And this is our colleagues in education actually are working on this more. But what I can say is that related to what we do in the field of remote access, as I felt in the project of remote access, I'm sorry, because we are trying also to not to keep it, not to keep it only for research, but also to expand it to education as well. So, and this is already happening. And there are 3 countries who have full remote access now to this, to the X-ray, single crystal X-ray diffractometers in Cote d'Ivoire, in Cameroon, and in Congo Brazzaville. And they started already using it also for education. So they are early career researchers, scientists, young professors. So they teach their students through this remote access also. So this is one way to also enhance education in this field, in this specific field, because if the students are not exposed to this kind of techniques and the technologies, and they know how it works, then again they will not be able to delve or to do high quality research. So it's important also to educate them on this. So this is one example of how we can contribute to or develop strategies for access to high quality education. Yeah, but we focus more on the science. We focus more on the technical part. However, I have to admit that we need more coordination and more collaboration also with the education sector, especially the higher education one, which we are also trying to do.
So indeed, so a very good point as well, how we could simulate this as well with the IIE potentially. So we will bridge all of those aspects, and also with the remote access that you were mentioning. So that's potentially as well can qualify as well some of those teachers so that they can learn really what are the edge of this science. And also to recall last month, so we have so one crystallographer from Zimbabwe showing how as well he has been by in person, and thanks to the ICTP program as well, giving possibility to teach as well in that field. So, and as you said, the crystallography conference. So I think it's really like some important aspect. So from education at every level. So I think we're on the way. So one more question. So what are the criteria that you regard to help government science laboratory in capacity building? Mohammed, can
I mean, we can help any government who, this is our main mandate actually, to support the governments and in the field of capacity building and sciences. So if we are requested to do so, we do. Even if we are not requested, we try to initiate also. We initiate the criteria. This is difficult to say, but the criteria basically the minimum infrastructure have to be there. Sometimes some member states allocate a certain fund for this, and we do help. We have a very famous project, for example, in Libya, where Libya, excuse me, Libya allocated the fund for to equip the laboratories in the Faculty of Engineering and Faculty of Science, and this is a very, very old project, still running until now. And we help them by they identify the needs, they identify the fields that they would like to work on, and what kind of facilities they would like to have, and we support in this. We facilitate equipping the laboratories with the equipment they need. But for this, of course, we need the funds. So the most important criteria here is the availability of the fund. And sometimes if the fund is not available, we can try to find through other partners, working with private sector or working with NGOs. So it really depends also on the field of research or the field of science that the governments would like to develop. Some countries maybe energy is a priority, some other countries maybe healthcare is a priority. So it really depends also, because each different facilities, they cost differently. So I think the most important criteria is also the idea what exactly we want, what strategy or what kind of field of science is important for the country to develop something. This is because this is different from one region to the other. If this is known and if fund is available, we can definitely help.
Thanks a lot for this complete answer. And indeed, it's more or less an octopus start that you are trying to do, and that's not easy. And I just want also to cut, if you want to read as well in the chat. So we have so the honor also to have also in the audience Bill Colblazier, who is also the editor-in-chief of Science and Diplomacy, and he's really impressed by your presentation. And I think we all are. So I will not read so what he all mentioned, but then I can save it and I can share so later on as needed, looking at this government science laboratory. So that helps a lot. So we'll go with a few more questions if we have three more.
No problem.
Wonderful. From Sonia Haddad also, who asked also if UNESCO can support a Pan-African master program in STEAM and to provide as well student scholarship. So maybe
specifically in STEM, we can work on. We can see. I mean, we can see if we can do something. But we have with the Pan-African University, we had recent discussions with the African Union Commissioner, and there is a big interest actually to work on that. Still no conclusion for collaboration, but maybe the collaboration can result in such a program. We will see. Yeah, again, if we have something like this, it will be definitely announced to everyone.
Thank you. Another question, so asking about, again, strategies from Onel Maklika, who is asking, so what strategies can be implemented to improve access to quality education and research facilities and basic science, so across Africa, is there any implementation in Congo, Brazzaville? So I think it's really similar as well to the one we had. So indeed, so we see
it is the same question, and I repeat, Congo Brazzaville is one of the countries that benefited from the remote access, actually. And I can provide the name. Perhaps I can give the name to Christine, the name of the professor or the researcher who was trained, because he is supposed to be a focal point for his colleagues in the country.
So this is perfect. So we'll cross-correlate, because I think it's something that I mentioned present also in the April meeting. So at the end. So thanks a lot for the recall. And also, so the last questions from Asha Mokoso, who is asking, so if you can, so can we have an access to the scholarships about physics and chemistry? Maybe the chemistry aspect.
Maybe the green chemistry one, you mean?
Yeah.
If you mean the green chemistry, this is a call that it's an annual call, and the next one it might be next year, because this year is already closed, so it will be next year sometime, maybe by mid-year. But this is, as I said, for PhD holders in the field of green chemistry. So of course, if it's announced, everyone can apply, and we grant we give the grants to 7 researchers every year.
So that's excellent. And indeed, maybe we can, in June, when we have our forum, so where we do the follow-up as well of those points, more or less, that I send as well in the chat as well, the recall for this article, we can try to follow up and maybe give as well more information in June on those specific dates. But as you said, next May as well, you will have those calls, so we will summarize as well all of that. You have another question, so also from Steve Ben, who is also from so here, so in Brazzaville. So what is UNESCO plan as well for university research in the field of science, especially so since the university, so in Congo, so does not even have an equipped laboratory, physics laboratory. And that's exactly the thing, hardware, even small hardware, like trying to see how they could well their theory.
Yes, as I said, for equipping laboratories with like the most essential techniques or equipment, we established this program recently with a partner in USA, and as I said, they are helping us to provide scientists in Africa, specifically in Africa, with second-hand equipment that are working also, of course, working very well. So we will initiate a call for this also soon. I'm not sure exactly when, but we have 2 types of call. One for the remote access, which is associated also with some equipment that are needed for the process labs. And maybe there will be another one also for second-hand equipment for process labs. So again, in any of these calls, I always share this, of course, on our website, and then I share it also on social media. Once it is out there, please feel free to apply, and I hope you can get something for your laboratory.
And I think somehow it recalls me what already exists with UNICEF. I know this RI Logistics, who had this matching tool that to list what is available by donor, to list what is needed by those different locations, and to find a way to match. So maybe that could be such tools as well like this that can be interesting to make sure that we have an efficient distribution as well. Mm-hmm. So thanks for those answers. So I think, yeah, there was so many questions. So thanks a lot. So Joe, so sorry, I was asking so all the questions, but do you have maybe any kind of additional question? I mean, I will have still a lot, but I'm afraid that
I have lots of questions, but I think we've really we've had a lot of questions already. But anyway, especially about education, but also about working cross-sectorally. But I'll talk to you about that later. It's more technical. But wonderful talk. And I saw a lot of comments in the chat about how wonderful this talk was. It really was truly wonderful. So thanks to you. And thanks, Christine.
Thank you very
really
much.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thanks a lot. So I think it was so important to find ways to communicate to the open public in a form which is really constructive and precise with your way of communicating. So thanks a lot, Amal, for this presentation.
No, thanks to you, to everyone. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We will follow up. So with all of that.
Yeah, sure.
And so then, yeah, indeed, I will maybe, so just to share, so for the next presentation, so next month, so we'll have the opportunity to hear a bit more as well for the remote aspect. So how we can look at this global digital world. So I will be also presenting some of the work that I've been doing, so with the European Commission and with Stefan Kenmo, who is somewhere, so always helping us, and with Reza Malou from Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and who has been also giving a wonderful presentation at the March meeting. So we will see how education and how communication can really help for this global, transforming also the world in one sense. So at least to contribute the best possible way. So thanks a lot, because this is thanks to organization and thanks to this power that you have, that we can make and enable people. So thanks a lot, Amal, and thanks everyone to have listened. So we stay tuned, and please, follow up on the next presentation and all the existing presentation we had. We have a nice relooked as well web page, so you can maybe and hopefully find all the information that you need. And contact us. You have emails, and hopefully we'll try to find some better electrical issues. I mean, finding ways to solve all the societal challenge, let's say, basic science. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.